Good afternoon, everyone. This session we will have two pecha kuchas, and that is 7 minutes for each, with some time for questions as well. So for the first one, it is my pleasure to welcome Prof Janine Wichmann. Prof Janine is an environmental epidemiologist with a primary interest in air pollution and health effects. I'm going to stop there, Janine. I'm going to give over to you, and you have 7 minutes starting from now.
Okay. Hello, everybody. Just to show my face, I'm going to switch off my camera because I was bombing out all morning. Nice to meet you online. And yeah, the presentation is Cracking the Code, Learning Analytics in Environmental Health Education. And my collaborators were Prof. Liz Wolfhard, and then also Dr. Marie van Wyk. So the aim was to identify factors that potentially influence the student marks in a fully online module that was on environmental health, which is part of the postgrad diploma in public health at the University of Pretoria. And as we all know, everywhere if you are clicking something on the internet, it normally collects data. And that data can be analyzed, descriptive statistics, or you can even look at the relationship between variables. And then one can actually use the results that we get from this field of study. It's called educational data mining, to hopefully enhance our online programs and to benefit the students also. So, as I mentioned, the data were collected in a module that's part of the PG DIP at the School of Health Systems and Public Health. The module is presented over 7 weeks. Mine is presented over 7 weeks. Others are presented over 14 weeks. And we follow a programmatic approach to assessment where they have multiple assessment opportunities and all adding up to the final mark. And this module is a 10-credit module, so ideally students should spend 100 hours on it. So all the student interactions were recorded in Blackboard via the statistics tracking option. And then eventually I downloaded the data in Excel and imported it into SAS, where I did the statistics analysis. And in this module, the students had 28 activities to complete, 14 discussion fora. They had to do a table, 12 quizzes, and also an individual assignment. And of course, ethics approval was granted, and we use ClickUp, is the learning management system at UP. So for the results, in 2023, this is the data I used. 753 students were enrolled. The majority were females. The percentage is actually the incorrect way, 79% females. And most of the students are coming from the African group. Regarding the age, quite a young population, the mean age is 36, with a wide range between 20 and 30 and 64 years. And the student marks were in general very good, but also a wide range, varying from 14 to 99. The students logged in quite a long time. There were a lot of interactions with other students, especially in the discussion fora, if they have to comment on someone else's post. On average, they submitted 49 tasks, and they also accessed the module on various occasions with a range between 11 to 339 and a mean of 69 times. And this is just a correlation between all the variables included in the analysis. It makes sense that the strongest association was actually between the interactions and time online, or the interactions and the times they access the module. But let's have a look at some of the graphs. This is just descriptive statistics, which is sometimes nice to see before you start doing your logistic regression modeling. So here we can see the age and also the time online. We can actually see the millennial age group, if people like to label students by these classifications. They were the largest age group, followed by the Gen X, fewer Gen Z, and then the baby boomers. And 2 students were actually online all the time. So I called them the click-up happy campers. And of course, one can see there's not really a good correlation between age and time online. Here is the number of times accessed the module and the number of interactions. This is a pretty good correlation. And again, also a few outliers. For instance, 2 students accessed the module a lot, but they were not online for so many times. And then we also have people who had a lot of interactions, but they also did not access the module a lot. This is also the age versus the number of interactions online. One can see quite a spread between the age groups. This is the number of submissions and the time online. Again, we see outliers of 2 students. And then this is the number of interactions online, and then the number of submissions. So then lastly, I ran a linear regression analysis where I looked at the marks the student received or obtained versus all these input variables. So what it basically shows, the red ones, one can see they were significantly correlated or associated with the marks. One can see as a student, the age increased by 1 year, the module marks decreased by 0.25%. And then the number of task submissions, the more tasks they submitted, per task they submit, the module mark increased by 0.4%. And then the number of times accessed the module online is 0.06%. But of course, the module was actually a very weak model. These variables only explained 32% of the variability in the marks. So more can actually be done. And this is just an indication of the marks. 50% is the pass rate. Most of those students passed. So in conclusion, the marks did not vary that much. The factors that influenced the marks were age, number of task submissions, the number of times and the module was accessed. And we will then, of course, encourage students from day one not to fall behind them in the module, especially the older students. And it's hoped that in the future, one can actually link what the feedback the students gave on the module to all these variables, if it's possible, to see, to incorporate that also in the statistical analysis. And overall, it's interesting to analyze the data in this fully online module, which is most probably not explored in detail. So this is quick. I hope you enjoyed the talk. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you so much, Janine. We definitely have time for one question. Is there anybody that has a question for Janine? Oh. No questions? I think,
thank you.
Just from my side, how does knowing this help you to change anything in a module?
Definitely, I would say the number of task submissions. One must make sure that perhaps you don't overburden the students as well with number of tasks, because then they may fall behind and they may not submit on time. So I think that's very important. And then also the student age, I think that plays a role as well. And what I actually forgot to mention is I ran a similar analysis on 2021 data, the first time the module was presented. And then we can, of course, remember those were lockdown days. And it's quite interesting that the students spent much more time online during 2021 than in 2023, because in 2023 they had other competing interests or things that they also have to do. So I think in general it's nice to repeat this analysis over a time period, and perhaps also consider how we improve the module over time, and try to fine tune then that over 10 years. That will be quite interesting to have a look.
Okay, thank you so much. We're going to go now, if we can just stop sharing. Janine? Okay, thank you so much. So it's now my pleasure to welcome Dr. Jeffery Chernosky. Dr. Jeffery is an assistant professor in the Educational Leadership Doctoral Program and the coordinator in the Instructional Technology and Educational Administration graduate programs. He has managed emerging technologies for the U.S. Department of Homeland Security and developed online mentoring programs. I was fortunate enough to see or to hear him speaking at the other conference earlier in this year, and I thought this is something that we also need to hear. Dr. Jeff, you can share your screen before I start counting.
Okay, and once you give me the go ahead, I'll go to full screen and it'll start the countdown on my side.
Okay, all right, so you can share your screen and we can start.
You should be seeing it now.
I see it in slide view. Are you okay with that, or do you want me to also share your PowerPoint, your PDF version?
No, once I click it, it'll start the countdown. It'll go to full screen for us.
Okay, all right. Okay, so your 7 minutes will start now.
You know, every good story begins with a good truck, and this was my truck, a 1976 Chevrolet, affectionately named Big Orange. And I took this truck to work, to play, to the trade school, well, everywhere. And eventually she would take me to college, but not the way you may think. You see, I had to sell her to pay for that first semester. Flash forward 30 years, and today I'm an assistant professor and co-coordinator of our educational administration and instructional technology graduate programs at Texas A&M University, Kingsville, where over 76% of our students are Hispanic. As a first-gen student, we share the same life, culture, and same space. But I noticed something in my teaching. There was a unique problem with my students. There was a disparity of outcomes and student satisfaction with these particular students. So I began to reflect on my own teaching practice through an autoethnography, and I hope that my findings help you and your students too. From the fall of 2022 to the fall of 2024, I conducted a qualitative autoethnography based on the theoretical work of Yasso's 2005 Community of Cultural Wealth model, paying particular attention to the 6 forms of capital, as well as an emphasis on Bandura's social learning theory, and of course, culturally responsive teaching by Geneva Gay. My participants included 122 online students from one of 3 graduate programs: educational leadership, educational administration, or instructional technology. I analyzed the student evaluations, wrote narratives and reflective journals, and of course conducted online feedback sessions each week with these particular students. So the question becomes, what can we do? We need to really help making a connection with them. We must use authentic examples that give way to e-portfolios of their experiences to be used for their job advancements. It's a driving force for them. It must be for us in assignments and assessments. Well, to put it simply, we must be ourselves, be real, recognize the importance of storytelling, tell your story and connect with theirs. In other words, bridge the 3 points: your story, their story, and the content. Dream big with the students and don't stop at the known, but reach for the unknown and the impossible. Go beyond the ordinary. When my students have a question, they're curious about something, I want to offer them more. So I offer personalized campus tours tailored for the individual. I create multiple channels of communication to keep the conversation going. Every student has my cell number. I call it Priority Student Line, as well as access to a one-stop hub for podcasts and social media. Online education can be isolating. It doesn't have to be. Go where the students are. Nothing says you're important or valued more than visiting their workplaces and neighborhoods. So accept those invitations. It's an honor to be invited into their homes and life celebrations. Celebrating our culture, and I do call it our culture, means that we look at particular celebrations like the Day of the Dead, quinceañeras, and weddings. Traditions and celebrations are important parts of the day-to-day life. So invite these into the learning. Make a seamless dialogue between school, work, and play. And music is part of our daily life. It helps with understanding, expressing emotions, and celebrating life's special occasions. This means that music should be an option for student choice in assignments and assessments. Learning is an expression just like music. And of course, who doesn't like food? Well, incorporate recipes with their rich oral traditions and stories. It's not just about the food, but about people, places, and the life events surrounding them. This provides a unique and continuous opportunity to interview family members. You know, we talk about the family, but they must be part of everything that we do. It's part of the community. We can celebrate heroes, folklore, and alumni. In events like this community escape room created by our students to educate the community and celebrate the life of distinguished artist and alumna Carmen Lomas Garza. We are always looking to give back to the community. The family is the cornerstone of this community, and this means that just like conversations around a kitchen table, assignments receive personalized feedback as well. This is achieved through tailored videos for each student, using the Spanish pronunciation of the students' names and providing personalized screencasted feedback videos for their assignments. Technology advances have allowed us to continue the conversation without regard to time zones. Podcasting allows us to market, introduce, reinforce, and review critical course content on demand for the individual student. Special guests bring a new level of authenticity, as well as AI podcasting using historical perspectives and immersion. Storytelling is welcomed in discussions, assignments, and assessments. Invitations are extended to invite elements of the outside into our courses. Virtual conversations reimagine traditional office hours as coffee chats with Dr. C, more casual, less stressful, in a really good environment for the students. Students enjoy interactions with each other, but you know what? They enjoy that interaction with us as faculty even more. When competition is embraced, new ideas are created. Student choice can be examined in executive summaries, infographics, essays, multimedia advertisements, pedagogies, and even multiple languages. Wherever we are, we must be present, authentic, and invite dialogue. For example, I offer one-on-one visits with each new student as they come into my courses. This can be face-to-face, virtual, or by phone. And are you wondering about the topic? Well, it doesn't really matter. It's anything the student wants to discuss. As educators, we must go beyond the surface. The community wants to be involved with us. And so we must embrace that, invite them in. I initiated this research to have a better understanding of my students and my teaching. And in the end, I believe it's a call to action for all of us and our students. Oh, I know some of you are worried about my old truck, Big Orange. Don't be. She was recently replaced with a new Ram 2500. Today, you can find me in that new truck traveling the highways of South Texas, immersed in our culture and visiting my students. I invite you to join our movement in our communities as well.
Thank you so much. Can you just stop sharing and put your camera on? Then we can just ask the audience if there's any questions for Dr. Jeff.
I'm going to try to stop sharing this here.
Okay. There you are. There you are.
There we go.
Yes. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Any questions for Dr. Jeff? No questions from the audience? Is there a question? A hand? Nothing? Okay. Yes, Liz?
Sorry, I was interrupted now. Your own question. Thank you, Dr. Jeff. That was a wonderful presentation. I heard you mention something about a movement. So can you perhaps tell us a bit more about the movement? You said join us, and how does one become involved? How does one join? How does one learn more? Thanks.
Well, thank you very much. On that last screen was a QR code, and that goes to my communication hub. And on that, I've involved many projects with our students. It's about student engagement, and that we talk about it, but it's really a movement at our school to to expand our online presence and to attract students who may want to study in this particular mode. But you can see many of the students' projects at that particular hub, and you can see the day-to-day social interactions through social media as well. So that's how we invite people to come along. It's a wonderful marketing tool, but it's also great for our alumni and other interested parties to see what our students are doing and to stay connected with us.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, I think we are within our time, and thank you so much for the two speakers who managed to stay within their 7 minutes. I know it's always, yeah, quite a thing to talk and say everything that you want to say in the time allocated to you, and we really appreciate what both of you had brought to the discussion for today. Thank you so much, and then remember the next session to join, and remember our social at the end of the day, we will have 2 lucky draws with quite okay monetary value for the South Africans. Thank you, everybody. Bye.